Akhilesh Yadav dropped a big bombshell on the BJP in a very fierce battle for Uttar Pradesh. The former UP Chief Minister has alleged that the phones of Samajwadi Party leaders are being tapped. Now, this comes after prominent Samajwadi Party leaders were raided by the Income Tax Department. Samajwadi Party filed this report.
हमारे जितने भी फोन हैं समाजवादी पार्टी के कार्यालय के या हमारे संबंधित जितने लोग भी हैं उनके मोबाइल को सुना जा रहा है, सबको लिसनिंग पे लगाया हुआ है और मुख्यमंत्री खुद शाम को कुछ की रिकॉर्डिंग सुनते हैं.
Akhilesh Yadav drops a bombshell in the already charged battleground of political Pradesh. He claims the Yogi Adityanath government is tapping his party leaders' phones and the Chief Minister himself listens to the recordings. With this, the Akhilesh versus Adityanath showdown has just gotten more fierce in the run-up to next year's election. Akhilesh has levelled charges of a wiretap a day after the Income Tax Department raided prominent Samajwadi Party leaders in Lucknow, Mau and Mainpuri. The Samajwadi Party is accusing the BJP of misusing central agencies.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी को हार सताएगी. दिल्ली से बड़े-बड़े नेता आएंगे. कोई नेता भारतीय जनता पार्टी का बड़ा बचेगा नहीं जो उत्तर प्रदेश में ना आए. और अभी तक इन्हीं का इंतजार था कि इनकम टैक्स कब आएगा डिपार्टमेंट. अभी तो इनकम टैक्स आया है, ईडी आएगा, सीबीआई आएगी, न जाने कौन-कौन सी संस्थाएं आएंगी, अफवाहें फैलाई जाएंगी, साजिश की जाएंगे, षड्यंत्र की जाएंगे, लेकिन उसके बावजूद भी साइकिल की रफ्तार कम नहीं होगी.
Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, flagging the BJP's Jan Vishwas Yatra in Mathura, reacted to the charges, calling the tax raids routine.
आईटी के छापे एक रूटीन प्रक्रिया के हिस्से होते हैं. ऐसा तो पहली बार हुआ नहीं. क्या कांग्रेस के समय में नहीं हुआ था क्या? आखिर इनकी आय से अधिक संपत्ति का मामला है. बीजेपी के समय का मामला तो नहीं है, तो कांग्रेस की सरकार का समय का मामला है. और 5 साल के कार्यकाल में संपत्ति 200 गुना ज्यादा बढ़ जाए, ये क्या है? आप इसको जो है स्वीकार नहीं करेंगे.
The Samajwadi Party has put up hoardings in Lucknow attacking the raids. Akhilesh Yadav's party has got some unexpected support from its other rival in the state, the Congress.
सरकार का कर्तव्य क्या होता है? विकास कराए, जनता की समस्याओं को समझे, उनको सुलझाए, जो अत्याचार हो रहे हैं उनको रोके. इसके बजाय ये सरकार लोगों के फोन टैप करने के लिए बैठी हुई है. मतलब आप समझ सकते हैं कि अपना काम करने के बजाय कमरे में बैठ के आप विपक्ष के दलों के फोन सुन रहे हैं. अब आप बताइए.
The currently happening tax raids are the classic example of the same. It is worth mentioning and interesting to see whether the raids are a part of war or Samajwadi Party is levelling charges of anything including political vendetta just to defocus the entire scenario of corruption. Samajwadi Party for India Today.
So which one is it? Paranoia by the Samajwadi Party, which is on edge in an election which is touted to be tectonic, or is these allegations credible? The big questions we are going to ask tonight: wiretap charges true or baseless? Can the Samajwadi Party present proof of wiretap? Mind you, Akhilesh Yadav says his phone, his entire office's phone is tapped. Is there proof behind that, or are these just mere allegations? Are tax raids to target opposition right ahead of polls? And importantly, is there proof of unaccounted wealth and the opposition deflecting questions on corruption? Let's cut across to our guest this evening. I have Rahuls, our National Affairs Editor, Supriya Shrinate, Congress spokesperson, Ghansham Tiwari, Samajwadi Party spokesperson, Syed Zafar Islam, BJP MP. Mr. Islam, I'd like to begin with you because the Samajwadi Party, even the Congress at times, has said that you misuse your agencies. Now, there has to be terrific timing because what I have with me is a full list, Mr. Islam. And tell me, correct me if I'm wrong, because the timing of it, they really picked their timing right, because you had the raids on the close aides of Akhilesh Yadav. Before that, April 2nd, 2021, MK Stalin's daughter, there's an income tax raid 4 days before the state goes to vote. Then February 23rd, 2021, a month before elections in the state of West Bengal. Abhishek Banerjee's wife is questioned by the CBI. DK Shiv Kumar raided by CBI right before by-polls. Kanni Modi raided in 2019 by the Income Tax Department 2 days before Lok Sabha polls. Bhupinder Hooda, Congress, January 29, booked by the CBI for alleged cheating right ahead of by-polls. There's a full list. Ahmed Patel, 2018, booked by the CBI right before Rajya Sabha polls.
Preeti, can I just respond to that?
Sir, please.
If you're done. If you're done with your list, if you're done with your laundry list, can I just respond?
So how is it a laundry list? These are facts.
In fact, whatever list it is not a fact. The fact is something else. Fact is that these people have done crime. If they have done a crime, then an agency will go after them.
But these are facts. That's all I'm saying. But go ahead, sir.
What is wrong with it? What is important? No, timing is not that important. Timing has no relevance. It is the crime which has relevance here, and that's why it is important that you should not target agencies which is doing its job. It's not that there is any interference. The agency is doing its job. They cannot raid. They cannot raid unless there is a lead, unless there is some evidence, unless there is something. On the basis of that, they want to further investigate, and raid is something which is warranted. No agency goes to anyone unless they have enough information available with them, and there is a sound case, and on that basis they go. Why can't they go to Supriya Srinath, or for that matter any other political leader of Congress Party or Samajwadi Party leader? Because they do not have done anything. They may not have done anything, but people who have done, and they are corrupt. They have followed unfair practices to make money. They need to worry. They need to worry. There are agencies whose job is to investigate, whose job is to raid these people, do the investigation, and find whatever they needed to find. And you should not even blame agencies, and timing has no relevance here. You can see last year you forgot to mention Rajasthan. It was raided, and there enough evidence is there that what kind of money they had, where they were hiding money. So you also find it from the investor in IT department how much money they have been able to find out, what kind of evidence they have. And trust me, no agencies approach or even go for evidence for a raid unless they have sufficient evidence. Everyone knows that, you know that, and the party leaders know that. But they just want to blame. They want to hold BJP responsible while the agencies are doing their work which they are supposed to doing. It is not that it is Bharatiya Janata Party, or for that matter government is doing. There is no interference. They are independently working on it, and they must continue to work on it. Nobody should raise finger on them, because they are pursuing on the basis of certain evidence they have.
Okay. Ghanshyam Tiwari, there is enough evidence to go after the people that these agencies are going after. Some of them are your leaders, where the Samajwadi Party is concerned. Is the Samajwadi Party paranoid? What proof does the Samajwadi Party have that, the phones have been tapped? Is there any proof at all that the phones of your leader, Akhilesh Yadav, has been tapped? Your office in Samajwadi Party's UP office has been tapped. Is there any proof that you have?
Good evening, Preeti, to you, my fellow co-panelists and the viewers. Three things stands. One, the intent of the leadership of Bharatiya Janata Party, as is visible in Pegasus, where Supreme Court has a panel that is investigating every democratically elected government in the world, has said that NSO is a danger to democracy except Bharatiya Janata Party and Modi leadership. This is the only government that continues to defend Pegasus, even in case where Apple, the trillion-dollar company, has filed a lawsuit. And it is a slap on Modi government that the global world order is questioning Pegasus, whereas Modi government is standing with it. That is one. Second, a government that has allegations for snooping election commissioners, drivers and cooks of their own ministers, associates of their own ministers, will never admit any wrongdoing. As far as Samajwadi Party is concerned, it is clear that BJP in the last 5 years alone has over 150 MPs and MLAs joined from different political parties so that it can fracture and create its own governments. There are allegations on tape where tens of crores were being offered, and BJP did not shrug to even discount those allegations. So expect no less from Bharatiya Janata Party, especially in Uttar Pradesh, where they are facing a rout. They are facing a rout because they cannot answer to people of Uttar Pradesh that why did they create massive unemployment in Uttar Pradesh? Why does Teni continue to be a minister? Think about a party who's defending random politically leveled CBI IT raids, and at the same time has to defend Teni as a minister itself. So the morality in the BJP-led government is dead, and within the party is depraved.
Ghanshyam Tiwari, before I go to Supriya Srinath, we'll only know when that last vote is counted whether the BJP faces a rout or not. But is there any credible proof that your party has that there's a wiretap, that your phones are being tapped?
Well, just like the way BJP has its way in tapping various opposition leaders and constitutional functionaries' phones, there are people within the government who come and they know that BJP is going to be routed. So it is these people who come and the word travels. So we have credible word. That is the reason why our National President Akhilesh Yadav ji has said it is for the government to introspect.
Can I just raise a question?
Sir, can I come back to you? Can I just go to Supriya Srinath, and I'm coming right back to you. I know you want to come in for a rebuttal, and we'll do that. Supriya Srinath, the fact is, which was touched in by Syed Zafar Islam as well, the Congress has been a champion. You've talked about the Pegasus case as well. But your own history stands testimony, Supriya Srinath. 2013 RTI reply reveals Congress-led UPA 2 government was snooping on 9,000 phones and 500 emails every month.
So before I answer your direct question, and I promise I will, I don't run away from answering a direct question, I will answer that question. I have just one thing to say. The government's modus operandi is laughable. मैं सच बता रही हूँ, हंसी आती है, दुख होता है, हंसी आती है. It's such a pattern where there is an election, where you want to topple a democratically elected government, where you want to put pressure on an elected chief minister, you set your agencies. And which is why, Preeti, with all due respect to the people who work there, some of them may be of utmost integrity, the BJP has made a mockery of agencies like the Income Tax, ED and the CBI, and I often call them the BJP frontals, because that is what these agencies have been reduced to carry on their political vendetta. You see what has happened. It's a pattern. When there are elections, there will be raids. When there are elections, people will be asked for questioning. When a democratically elected government like a Rajasthan government had to be unsettled, they called the chief minister's brother for questioning. What happened to that? Absolutely nothing. What happened to DK Shiv Kumar? They imprisoned him. They've been able to do nothing to him. They even questioned his 21-year-old daughter. This is a pattern. And because of that pattern, I just say you cannot be so obvious with your desperation. And history also goes on to prove, Zafar, my good friend, that whenever you have resorted to your frontal agencies like the ED, CBI and Income Tax, you've actually been routed in those elections. You've been absolutely run over. It shows your desperation, it shows you're losing. That's the first point I wanted to make. The second and a more important point I want to make. You want to use the agencies? I want to ask you a direct question. What happened to the case of the ED and CBI agencies against Yediyurappa? What happened to cases against the Janardhan Reddy brothers? What happened to Hemanta Biswa Sarma? What happened when Mukul Roy was with you? इनके पास आ जाओ तो एजेंसीज के सारे केस रख दिए जाएंगे. आपने गंगा नहा ली, आप सर्फ से धुल के सारे दाग आपके चले गए, अब आप भाजपा में आकर बिल्कुल पाक साफ हो जाते हैं. That is the modus operandi. To answer your direct question about phones and what Mr. Akhilesh Yadav has said, I am reasonably certain this must be happening because this is their modus operandi. There is a huge difference in what you have quoted and what the government tried to do through Pegasus. Pegasus is a military-grade spyware where your data
we're not debating
and
Pegasus.
Data about
I'm coming in because we're not debating
was
Pegasus.
Being stored in a foreign land.
The fact is, no, Mr. Srinath, we're not debating.
You asked me a question on phone tapping. I'm answering that question.
I'm asking you a question. In 2013, RTI says your government tapped into 9,000 phones a month. Forget about 2013. Let's talk about something which happened a year and a half ago. Rajasthan Gehlot government tapping into your own party members' phones, Sachin Pilot, and the other BJP members. It happened a year and a half ago. You've done it yourself.
No, that's conjecturing. No, No, sorry. On Rajasthan, that's conjecturing. There is absolutely no proof of that. As far as the RTI response is said, there is a huge difference between tapping phones for security reasons and doing that for electoral gains. If what Akhilesh Yadav is saying is true, then this is absolute treason of the worst kind.
Okay.
You are trying to now interfere with India's electoral process. If what the former chief minister is saying, it's absolutely,
All right.
I mean,
I want to cut
it's
across.
very,
I know
very
Zafar.
serious. Let's understand the gravity
Zafar
of
Islam
what
wants
he
to
said
come in
here.
for a rebuttal, but sir, with your permission, let me also bring in Rahul Srivastav, our National Affairs Editor. Rahul Srivastav, you know, the fact is, it's none the richer, because if you actually dig into data of each and every party, they've misused, you know, well, when you talk about agencies, that's debatable, but when you talk about wiretapping, phone tapping, they've all done it.
Yes, Preeti, if you see your list and the list that Supriya has read out, it's perfectly true. It is not just elections. It is, say, for example, in Karnataka in October recently, when the BJP was facing internal trouble, there were IT raids. And there were raids also on B.S. Yadurappa, who is one of the strong factions in Karnataka, his son. Now, then you had in Rajasthan, for example, last year, when the Ashok Gehlot government was in trouble. At that time, there were raids, perhaps to push the Rajasthan government and the Rajasthan Congress deeper into crisis. Now, the issue here is that this is a well-tried and tested tariqa and modus operandi as far as political parties and governments is concerned. If you recall, on the 5th of March in 2007, a disproportionate asset case was registered against Akhilesh Yadav, his father, his wife and his brother Pratik. And in 2013, the case was silently closed by the CBI. Supreme Court was informed in 2019 only that the case has been closed. What has happened to that case? Nothing. Mayawati disproportionate asset case. What was the benefit? The benefit was that in 2008, when 60-odd MPs of the left parties quit the UPA, supporting the UPA, the Samajwadi Party had to support the UPA, Congress-led UPA government for a very long time. The BJP has virtually taken a leaf out of the Congress book, and I think it has made it institutionalized now. It is virtually institutionalized. Surprising that virtually before each election, the principal opposition party is the one which is raided. Now, there is a method behind the madness. Yes, I say that. What happens that during elections, when there is a run-up to the elections, a lot of money starts coming out of the cupboards. And it is the time when IT department smells that it can move in. But the point here is that it is also the time perhaps to block the funds of the opposition parties.
Okay.
It could well be, that's what experts say, that once you start raiding senior leaders of a political party, main functionaries, you're trying to stifle the flow of funds for a political party. So if this is happening, this is what experts are saying. I think eventually political parties will have to decide that when they are in power, what exactly they are going to do.
Syed Zafar Islam, you wanted to come in for a rebuttal. Appreciate the patience. Now, Supriya Shrinate named B.S. Yadurappa, Reddy brothers, Himanta Biswa Sarma, 3 whose investigations went cold. You know, we began the debate where you said timing is not the issue, it's evidence.
There's a long list.
No.
There are many others.
So you began the debate that it's not about timing, it's about evidence. What happened to the evidence on Narayan Rane, Mukul Roy, Sovan Chatterjee, Suvendu Adhikari ever since became your way? The evidence seems to have gone cold.
Preeti, first of all, you are discrediting the agencies.
Sir, I'm not discrediting anyone. My job is to ask you questions, and that's what I'm doing to all of you.
You are targeting them. No, Preeti, and how blatantly my friend Supriya has lied just now. She was talking about Rajasthan. She said she has absolutely no proof phone tapping was done. And I have the proof. And it's none other than the Home Secretary of Rajasthan government came on the camera, on the television like yours. And he said, yes, it is being tapped without my permission. And she is saying that there is no proof. I'm asking her, do you have any proof? You asked the same question to Ghanshyam Tewari. He has no proof. It's a mere allegation because they know they are going to be defeated badly even in this election. They have tested the debate in 2014, 2017,
Madam, let's go one by one, please.
And it is going to repeat
according
again.
to the courtesy, please accord the same. Please finish, sir.
So this is merely an allegation. When I am telling you something, I can give you proof. And I can tell you with conviction that I can name the Home Secretary who has come on record on the television when she was interviewed like anchor like yours. And he said, yes, it is being tapped, but without my permission. I am the Home Secretary. And he was sacked by the Chief Minister at that time, purely because he just came out and said the truth. Akhilesh Yadav said, Congress, he named the Congress, that Congress used to do this. Congress used to do this. Congress has a history of doing this. We haven't done that. It is the Supreme Court which has also made an observation about the Congress how they were using agencies to their advantage and benefit.
You know, to quote Akhilesh Yadav incomplete, Akhilesh Yadav said the BJP was treading the path of the Congress in intimidating opponents. You know, you can't half quote what he says and not quote the other.
No, all I'm saying, see, you are blaming. I know that I said that we are being blamed. These are kind of allegations, but he has also blamed Congress Party.
Okay.
You should have asked Congress Party why the people who they had shaken hand at that point in time, they fought the election together, but today they are being criticized by their own partners.
All right, but Mr. Islam, you still haven't answered my questions on Narayan Rane, Mukul Roy, Sovan strategy. You've not answered those questions. But I'm going to come right back because I know you're not going to answer those questions and nor will the Congress. But Ghanshyam Tiwari, I'll bring you in on this and I want to ask you, Ghanshyam Tiwari. The fact is, if there's nothing to hide, then why worry? Let the IT raids happen.
Mukul Roy has gone back, so he'll be questioned now.
All right, okay, sir, I'll come back to you. Sir, let's be fair. Sir, can I just be fair? Can I be fair?
Now.
Take 10 seconds.
Sir, okay, take your 10 seconds, sir. Please, go ahead.
No, I'm saying that you are talking repeatedly about Mukul Roy. He is being called by CBI even when he was in...
Sir, because he's come full circle, no. He's back to the TMC, is what they're saying. Okay, sir, I'll come back to you. Ghanshyam Tiwari, if there is nothing to hide. Ghanshyam Tiwari, can I please go? Mr. Tiwari has been the most patient of all of you. Please let me bring him back into this debate. Ghanshyam Tiwari, if there is nothing to hide, what's the problem? Let the IT raids begin.
This is the most absolutely shocking and actually foolish argument to make on behalf of BJP. BJP makes this argument very often. There's nothing to hide, so you should open your doors and sleep. Open your windows and sleep. Are they a government or are they looters? Nothing to hide, so we'll install Pegasus. Nothing to hide, so we'll tap your phone. Nothing to hide, so we'll send CBI, ED, and IT at our will. Nothing to hide, so we'll take away your MLA. Nothing to hide, so we'll take away your MPs. Nothing to hide, so we'll pass bills in Parliament without discussion. Nothing to hide, so we'll throw the MPs out of Parliament. What kind of logic is BJP building? There is a process. There has to be accountability. You have at any dimension you take. You are a party that doubles your income every 2 years. Nothing to hide. Why don't you tell who's paying you money? You are the party whose crony capitalists have quadrupled their income in 7 years. They don't have anything to hide. Why do they have accounts in Mauritius and
Sir, please let him finish. Sir, accord him the same courtesy.
200 times.
Can I just get Ghanshyam Tiwari, please?
You can have the most corrupt people as part of your party buying and selling MLAs, and nothing to hide. So you will invite the election commissioners, PMO will invite election commissioners even when they protest. They are making a mockery of Indian democracy just because they can go out and keep making these arguments because they can. Nothing to hide, so Teni will continue to be a minister. This is a shame. Eventually, BJP will have to find a hiding for itself because they are defeating the public agenda. Public agenda is jobs, not the Modi Yogi tamasha that you see in Uttar Pradesh every day.
All right, Ghanshyam Tiwari, all right. Yes, Mr. Islam, I know you want to come in for a rebuttal and I will come back to you. Let me bring in Supriya Shrenath back into this conversation. You know, Supriya Shrenath, the fact is with what my colleague Rahul also started off with, you're all the same, none the richer. You know, look what happened in Rajasthan. You don't want to admit to it, but you will admit to Pranab Mukherjee writing a letter to Manmohan Singh saying his phone was tapped. You didn't spare your own.
Yes, he did write that letter, and I have no qualms in saying if it was done, it was a wrong thing. But BJP talks about being a party with a difference. They talk about ये कितने पाक साफ कितने संत हैं ये लोग तो ये ऐसा क्यों कर रहे हैं ये सवाल मैं जरूर पूछूंगी. But I have another question to ask. You have absolutely nothing to hide, Zafar, because you were such a party with a difference. Why hide the PM Cares Fund and how you're spending that money? Because that money has been collected from the common people of this country, from PSUs, from taxpayers, from our resources. Why? What do you have to hide? Why don't you tell the whole world what are you doing with the PM Cares Fund? Also, Preeti, it's not just about politicians. That's very important to say so. It's not just about politicians. Let's not attack each other here. Academicians, journalists, activists, students, bureaucrats, ex-bureaucrats, Who has been spared in this government? You try and question the government, the first thing that's leveled against you, forget everybody else, the farmers, NSA, sedition cases, they actually arrest 21-year-old student activists, climate warriors, and then they have nothing on them, और मुंह की खानी पड़ती है आपको कोर्ट में, आपको तो शर्म आनी चाहिए, लेकिन आप वो करने से बाज नहीं आते हैं. You were attacking Greta Thunberg, you were attacking Rihanna, that's what you do, that's what you've made a mockery of this democracy, through your stupid agencies and how they act as your frontals, that is the problem, through your police that has become your stooge and no longer a law enforcement agency, that is the problem, Zafar, and that's the question that everybody is asking.
I want to give I want to go back for a closing to yes, Mr. Islam, I will come back to you.
Perception.
All right, it is a 2:1, so I'm going to come back to you and give you the the closing word on this, and then I'm going to cut across to Rahul Srivastava for a quick comment. Yes, Mr. Islam, your rebuttal, sir. Come in.
See, Supriya has nothing to talk about her own government at that point in time. What Congress government has done all along for 70 years. They have misused Article 356. They have misused every possible way. Constitution.
What have you done, Zafar?
Only
in
to
the
target
last 8
people.
years?
All right, let's
only target people. And she is saying party with different.
You are attacking.
Yes, sir. Yes, I will. Can I only get Mr. Islam? Go ahead, sir.
Preeti, all I'm saying that let the people of this great country should decide who's misusing the agencies and who has misused the agencies.
Okay.
We are not misusing the agencies.
So let the people of the country decide.
Sure.
And an election is a befitting answer.
We have the confidence and the trust of the people.
All right. And an election is a befitting answer to what they feel. All right.
And the trust of the people.
You really are living in a la-la land.
Okay, all right, okay. Rahul Srivastava,
Oh my God.
I want to just get you in just 30
You are
seconds.
living in what
Mr.
land? I don't
Okay,
know.
okay, doesn't matter. Let this rest. Rahul Srivastava, I want to bring you
Supriya,
in. How do you?
They're
still 3 months away from the Uttar Pradesh elections, Rahul. Still a long while to go.
Read some books. I would suggest you read some books.
Yes, Preeti, it's not actually not a very long way to go, because what I feel, I think it's going to be a fiercely contested election. The very fact that the principal opposition party has been the first target. You see, Preeti, the crisis is that the CBI at one time used to be the one which was misused. Congress for decades, and then the BJP government, even during the time of Atal Bihari Vajpayee and others. The fact remains that when CBI goes into a case, it has to lodge a case, and it has never been able to, in such circumstances, wherever the law has been misused, has not been able to take it to a logical conclusion. I think the Mulayam Singh Yadav and the Mayawati disproportionate asset case is a classic example. But the fact here is that the IT and ED are the new CBI in the change atmosphere. Because see, when an IT or an ED moves in, actually you can move in, don't need to register a case. You may eventually have small amount taken as tax penalties and others, and the case dies off. And so the reality here is, increasing reality is, that the elections do involve slush money in the country, and during election period, model code of conduct, a lot of money is seized. But I think eventually the exercise should be that 3 months before elections, there should be some code that all the IT raids and others should be supervised by somebody like the Election Commission. Otherwise, this is one instrument which is going to be used today and tomorrow in the coming future.
All right, okay. Can I thank all of you, appreciate all of you for joining us. The voters will ultimately decide which side of the divide do they stand on, but it's going to continue. Right now, the opposition, where the Samajwadi Party, the Congress, is saying that this is misuse of government machinery. The government says corruption was there.